Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro Gaming video. I wanted to talk briefly about fusion rifles, a couple in particular, because fusion rifles are in a pretty solid place right now. Probably the best place that they've been in all of Destiny 2. Now, this is because of a combination of reasons. Number one, with Season of Opulence, legendary fusion rifles get a 30% PvE damage buff, and exotic fusion rifles got buffed individually to a certain degree, some more than others. Now, when you combine those buffs with nerfs to some of our favorite energy weapons, things like the Ikello shotgun and threat level that have trench barrel that got nerfed, it puts fusions in a pretty good place. And one of the fusion rifles that is shining super bright these days is the Loaded Question. Loaded Question is a legendary fusion rifle that is obtained by completing a pinnacle weapon quest from Zavala, aka the Vanguard. Requires you to go in and get a bunch of art kills and fusion rifle kills and strikes and things like that. It's pretty grindy, but it's a good weapon. Loaded Question comes with auto-loading holster, and its intrinsic perk, Reservoir Burst, basically allows you to do 50% more damage on your initial shot, assuming your magazine is full. That initial burst also chains arc lightning to nearby enemies, which makes it really handy for ad clear. And this fusion rifle is the high impact frame variant, meaning it has very high impact, pretty decent range, but really slow charge time compared to other fusions. So, to kind of recap everything, Loaded Question has a 7-round magazine. The first shot from that magazine will do 50% more damage than the subsequent 6 shots that will follow, assuming you are pulling from reserves. Now, if you use a Rally Barricade or a Lunafaction Rift/Well, then the magazine will be auto-reloading and staying at 7, and therefore every shot that you shoot will have the Reservoir Burst bonus. And if you're using this weapon against a boss or even a tanky major, that's exactly what you want to do. Otherwise, you're just using a basic fusion rifle from shots 6 down to 1. Now, if you're using this for DPS, well, first of all, why are you using this for DPS? It's very slow rate of fire, and even though that Reservoir Burst does do 50% more damage than a normal fusion rifle of a comparable archetype, it's still really slow, and DPS is damage per second, not damage per shot. DPS means how much damage can I put in this enemy as quickly as possible, and this is pretty slow. Now, I do want to clarify, Loaded Question is a good weapon. I use it relatively frequently in pretty much all the raids that I do. It's great for majors. You pop a major spec on here, you do like 2,000 extra damage per shot. It's really good. It's really handy to have. I would definitely recommend using it, but it's not really a DPS weapon. So that got me thinking, what can I compare Loaded Question to that could be something similar, but better at DPS? And the obvious answer to that would be Merciless. Now, Merciless is an exotic fusion rifle that has pretty similar stats to Loaded Question. I mean, it's not a crazy difference. Merciless has a slightly better charge time with slightly lower impact. The range is really the big thing that stands out. Loaded Question does have a lot more range, but if you were able to get the catalyst for Merciless and fully masterwork it, then your range is about similar to Loaded Question, if not better, on Merciless. Now, Merciless has a really cool perk, Impetus. Non-lethal hits lessen charge time, meaning every time you shoot a tanky enemy but do not kill them, your next shot will fire faster, and the next one will fire faster, and the next one will fire faster. And I believe this stacks up about 4 times. So after you fire 4 shots, if you haven't killed your enemy yet, then you're at the max charge time that you could have for this weapon. And as I said towards the beginning of the video, when Season of Opulence launched back in June, fusion rifles got a buff. Legendary fusion rifles got a 30% flat across the board PvE damage buff, and exotic fusion rifles got individual buffs, meaning the buff that Merciless got is not the same as the buff that Jotun or Telesto got, for example. So the way that the Merciless buffs work is basically the first shot that you take is 30% more damaging than the subsequent shots, decreasing down to when it is fully ramped up. I'm talking about the Impetus perk. So after you fire Merciless 4 times and that increased charge time kicks in, by the 4th shot, you're back at normal damage. So taking all that into consideration, knowing that we get 30% more damage on our initial shot with Merciless, and then it decreases down until Impetus is fully ramped up and going, it's still really good, man. Even firing those weaker shots, I mean, it's not that much difference than a basic non-buffed Loaded Question shot. In fact, the basic Merciless shot is only about 19% less damage than a basic loaded question shot, but keep in mind, with Merciless, you are shooting way faster than you ever could with a loaded question, whether it's buffed or not. So what's better, more bullets or more damage? Well, let's have a look. Now you can see in this clip that Merciless does kill faster, but not by much, and Merciless does have to use more ammo to get that kill, whereas loaded question, you use less, and you still get the same result. So in conclusion, if you were using something like Merciless against a raid boss versus using loaded question against a raid boss, Merciless might be just a teensy bit better because of its DPS. But if you have instant reload on a Rally Barricade or Lunafaction Rift like I'm using in this video, then loaded question is super good. But I would only recommend using loaded question for DPS if you have that instant reload. Otherwise, you are using what is essentially a plain fusion rifle, and that's underwhelming. So there you have it, guys. I was curious about this, so I wanted to do a little bit of test. I will leave it up to you to decide which one you choose for which activity. Me personally, I think loaded question is a pretty solid weapon right now for just about any activity that you can throw it into. Now before I let you guys go, I want to give a quick shout out and thank you to BenQ. They recently contacted me asking to do a review on their Screen Bar Plus e-reading lamp, and I gotta say, I really like it. This is an all-metal light bar that clips to the top of your monitor, and the concept behind it is it reduces eye strain. By lighting up the area underneath your monitor, it is not putting strain on your eyes by staring directly at a lighted monitor with no ambient light around you, and it honestly works. You can adjust the brightness as well as the color temperature of the light with a little dial that you see on your screen, which also features metal construction and is pretty small, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. Now this thing is meant to clip to a single monitor and shine straight down, but because I have a 2-monitor setup, I like to put it in the V where my 2 monitors come together. So all in all, I really like this thing. Its metal body construction is super durable. The only real downsides that I can see to this are number 1, its price point, it is a bit high, and number 2, the USB cable is on the short side. But if you're anything like me, and you're a fan of alternate forms of lighting, then this could definitely be worth it. I know I sure enjoy it. And just for the record, no, BenQ did not pay me to do this review. So if you're interested in picking up one of the BenQ light bars for yourself, you can find them on Amazon as well as various other tech sites. They are a reputable company, so their products are pretty much everywhere that you can find other tech products. But anyway, guys, I want to give another quick shout out and thank you to BenQ for sending me the review unit. I normally turn these down, but as I said, I'm a big fan of lighting, so when the opportunity presented itself, I just had to go with it. That's going to bring this video to an end. If you enjoyed it, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, you know I fucking love you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.